So just a couple notes about this class. I am wearing an external mic, and if you've seen any of the old classes in the library, you probably have guessed why I've stopped doing that, and I prefer the voiceover. They both have their pros and cons, so we'll make it through, and we'll see. Maybe I can improve my mic performance in the future. But I do want to say that this is definitely it could be considered a more advanced practice, but I think that everybody can approach this practice from all levels. So take your time to pause the video, rewind, focus on the things that you want to work on, the progressions and the modifications. But I do arm balances in this class, and I think that it is approachable from all levels. So, try not to just tell yourself you can't do it. Try one approach to every posture, even if on tripod you're just taking the tripod shaped downward facing dog. And as always, please email or text with any questions, and we can set up a time to go over any of these prop usages and modifications for each posture. Have fun, and as always, make wise decisions.
All right, so we're going to work towards a peak posture with this next class. Actually, a few different peak postures. The first one is going to be a high lunge, so a lunging twist. I'm going to just warm up though first with some stretches. I'm going to have a large bolster and a blanket and a belt. I'm going to strap the loop around my arms. So I'm going to make a belt loop that is about as wide as my shoulder heads. And then I'm going to put that on the bottoms of my triceps, just right where my elbow creases go. Blanket I'm going to have for between my heels and my hips, just something to sit on comfortably. And we're going to move into child's pose here. Right, so sit right here on the blanket, and then have a block handy to, this is also not long enough for me, I want it shorter. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to have a block out here at the top of my mat so that I can add on movements in just a moment. The bolster's at the top of your mat so that you can take your hands and your forearms and your forehead over the bolster so that you can rest on the bolster with your head. So my hands are going to come up to the bolster, forearms on the bolster, and then my head right down into the bolster support. You can open your knees as much as you need here. I'm going to have this blocked right in between my hands though, just to start. And breathe in and out of your nose. All right, and then I'm going to start to bend my elbows and take the block back towards my upper back. And then release back down, exhale. And then inhale, back up. And exhale, back down. And then just one more time. Push into the block with your hands, press into the strap with your arms. Take that block back towards your upper back. And then inhale, release. And pause here for one more breath, let the block go. Start to come up off the bolster. Inhale, crawl up. Take that strap off now. We're going to move into tabletop pose and take some stretches there. So you can take the blanket out from behind, set the block and the bolster off, and the strap off to the side. And then in tabletop pose, just a few little cat-cow movements. So in hands and knees position. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, push the floor away. Pull your belly up. Look down under towards your knees. Inhale, open. And exhale, cat stretch. Round your spine, push into the palms, your knuckles, your fingertips. And inhale, open your heart. Dip your belly. And then come back into neutral pose here. And we're going to sit back. We're going to take rabbit pose here. If you want the blanket back for your head, if you want something under your hips, you're welcome to have something under your hips or your knees.
I'm going to scooch my head down into my knees a little bit here, hands on the floor, and I'm just going to start to practice rolling over my head. And you can have your hands behind your back and release your fingers if you'd like, or you can grab your heels with your hands. And just a few moments here, a few dynamic movements. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. And inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. And then one more, inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Hands to the floor. Inhale, roll up to seated.
Okay. Back out to hands and knees, tabletop pose. A little movement here. Stretch out your feet if you need to. Your ankles, toes. Maybe a little twist to the side. I like taking these windshield wipers. They feel good. All right, then back into downward facing dog. Lift your knees. Press your legs towards straight. Lift your low back. Lengthen out to your low back. Breath in from your belly up to your upper back. Exhale from your belly. Feeling both breaths move from your belly. Inhale and exhale. One more here. And exhale. All right, let's lunge forward with right foot. Lower your left knee down. You can pat up your knee. Hands can come to your right thigh. You can stay here in a lunge on your thigh, on your left knee with your hands on your thigh. Or you can reach your arms up to the ceiling and open your chest a little bit. And then release your hands down. So right here, just an easy little twist to prepare for the standing lunge twist. Hand on the floor, left hand to the floor, that is. Right foot flat on the floor. My right hand's on my right thigh, and I'm just going to twist open with my right thigh. Look up to the ceiling. And then we're going to release that twist. And then you're going to step forward into a forward fold. So your left leg is going to come up to meet the top, right foot at the top of your mat, and then forward fold, exhale, Uttanasana. All right, Utkatasana next, fierce pose. Bend your knees. You can take your hands to heart center, take your knees over your toes, separate the knees slightly, and then reach your arms up to the ceiling. And you can take your gaze up to the ceiling if that's okay. All right, and then release your hands down, come into heart center here, and you're going to take your left leg back into a lunge. So step your left foot back, and now it's a high lunge. So we came from a low lunge up to chair, fierce pose, and now we're going back to the high lunge. Inhale, reach your arms up here. And then we're going to take this into that twist. So now I'm going to shift forward about 45 degrees, and then I'm going to rotate on my torso. So my left elbow hooks my right thigh. And then my right hand, you can have your right hand on your right thigh pushing down, left elbow on your right thigh pushing in to twist open. And then inhale, untwist. Arms up, reach up nice and tall, find your balance. And exhale, take your hands down. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Okay, step back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step back, and then exhale, deepen the pose. Inhale into plank pose if you want to take a chaturanga vinyasa. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And then exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. We're going to lunge forward with your left leg. So your right knee can come down here. And then again, we're going to come up to that low lunge. So your hands can come to your left thigh. And pat up your right knee if you need. And then you can take your arms up to the ceiling. Inhale, reach your arms up. All right, and then on your exhale, hands to the floor here, we'll take a twist. So right hand on the floor, and I'm going to use my left hand on the thigh just to twist open, look up to the ceiling. All right, and then release this on your inhale, and step forward. Exhale, top of your mat, Uttanasana. Utkatasana, fierce pose. Bend your knees. My feet are coming together. Knees not though. So I've got about a hand spacing between my knees. Knees over the toes. Lift your chest. Sit down towards your heels. Inhale and exhale. Hands down on your exhale. Step your right foot back. High lunge. Inhale. Ashtha Chandrasana. And your hands can come up if you'd like. And then you're just gonna shift forward and hover like 45 degrees. And then we're gonna twist to the left for this revolved high lunge. So right here, my left hand's gonna come to my right thigh, and my right elbow's gonna hook. I'm just gonna push down into my left hand and kind of leverage with my right arm. Track the left shoulder with your gaze and your nose, your chin too, and then look up to the ceiling. Squeeze your inner thighs together. I'm going to come back up out of this on my next inhale. And then slowly exhale down. Step forward, Uttanasana. You can shake your legs out a little bit. And then inhale all the way up, Forward Bahastasana. Samasthiti. Exhale. So I'm going to do that with a little alignment with some props. We're going to use the belt. With a prop, I guess. We're just going to use the belt. The belt's going to come into a longer loop, and we're just going to do the revolved high lunge. So I'm going to step on my left foot with the belt, and then my right foot's going to come through the belt forward and take it down to my knee. So I can lift my back heel and press in to the right shin into the belt. And then I want this heel back here not to be turning to the side. So lifting the heel straight up and pushing into the belt to pull my heel up a little bit more. And then from there, shifting forward. Keep the push forward of the right knee and then twist. Exhale. This is harder. Should be easier. Because I cheat. All right, so I'm going to take my left elbow down. Now I can really feel that right hip working. Ooh, looking up if you can and not fall. And then come out of it. All right, and then hands down. Okay, come up out of that. All right, so we'll do the second side. I'm going to try this side with the belt a little longer. I think that maybe that's why it was a little harder. Although I think that when I take my belt longer and my legs longer, I have a tendency to dump deeper down into the stretch. So shortening the belt probably is better for me, but I just want to see. Never know till you try. All right, and then I have to turn my belt because my belt's tricky. So if you have like a bathrobe tie or something at home that you can use. I'm gonna step on my left foot, or my right foot steps on the belt this time. Left leg goes through and forward, and this is gonna catch my knee. So this feels a little longer for me, and I think that it also feels a little easier for me. That's a little bit better. I think that maybe I was too short, which was fine because that was really working the leg. Nothing wrong with that. All right, get your balance first. Push into that front of the left shin to lift your right heel up, and then stretch forward halfway. And then you're gonna turn to your left, hook your right elbow. Yeah, this is much better. And then that left hand can still push on the right thigh or left thigh. Ooh, it's still not easy, but it's a little bit better. Good, and then slowly track your gaze back down to the floor, and then lift your head back up. If you want to take a moment here in a high lunge, reach up. Take your hands down and step forward. All right. So if you want to take a chaturanga vinyasa in between sides there, or in between movements there, go ahead and step back or float back chaturanga. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, so next step your right foot forward, and it's a bit of a shorter stance than typical. Turn your left heel down, pyramid pose. Inhale, come all the way up to stand, or up to upright position. Inhale, reach your arms. And then on your exhale, hover. Inhale up. Exhale, hover. Maybe your arms stay next to your ears for this one. Inhale, back up. And one more time. Exhale. And then inhale, back up. Exhale, release your arms down to your side. Take your hands to your hips. Bend your right knee and come up into a high lunge position for warrior three. So you can press back with your left foot. You can take your arms out to the side. Push your left leg straight back. Push down into your right foot. And then step down with your left foot. Back into that pyramid setup. Grab your belt. We're going to work that with the belt. Okay. So I'm going to step on the belt with my left foot. Right leg comes through. And I'm going to take this shorter than I had it for my lunge. So I can tack down my right hip. And then feel the pushing in my right hip with my into the belt. Forward fold here, so I have to take this longer. Push into your right hip with the belt, but don't let your right hip move forward. So trying to press back more with your left foot, and then let your left foot actually pull the right hip back. Oh, it's a massive stretch in the calf muscles. That feels so good. Then into warrior three, I'm probably going to have to make this a little longer. It's not too bad. Oh, that works. Okay. Maybe belt blocks here. So the tendency for me is for my knee to hyperextend. I want to not do that. Lift up with your left leg as high as you can. And then turn that right hip up to the ceiling more. Left hip down. Good. And release back down to the floor. Come up to stand. And switch out sides. All right, so you can set your belt to the side. If you want to take a quick vinyasa in between sides. Inhale, you can reach your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift. And then on your exhale, plant your palms, shoot back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, left foot steps forward, a little bit shorter stance than normal. Pyramid pose. Start with the dynamic movements. Inhale, reach your arms. And then exhale, hover. Maybe arms come back for this one. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, stretch out forward over your left leg. Arms can stay forward if you'd like, or take them back behind you. Inhale, come back up. And then one more time. Good, then inhale, back up. Hands to your hips, kind of a lunge setup. So bend your left knee, come to the toes of your right foot. Lift your right foot up off the floor, press back with your right leg. And open arms out to the side. And then again, drop back down to your right toes. And get your belt. So this time you're going to step on your left, on the belt with your left foot. Step on the belt with your right foot. Left foot goes through. So this is tracking back your left hip. And then I want to push back with my right heel and push down. This is really going to be good for me on this side because this is the side I had that sprained ankle on. So stretching out these calf muscles is going to be huge for me. And then start to forward fold. And I have to keep taking this leg forward to feel that pull. So my right foot is pushing this belt back and pulling the thigh back. And I'm really feeling that stretch now in the right calf as I start to take my weight forward more. Okay, we're going to transition this into that warrior 3. So if you've got your blocks handy, get your blocks. Push your right foot back. I'm going to have to shorten this or lengthen this out a little bit, so you may have to adjust your belt. That was just way too short on that side. Push your right foot straight back. This will pull your left hip back. Try to lift your left hip up, then drop your right hip down. Push your right foot up higher. And then slowly bend your left knee to come down. That's tricky with your foot in that belt. Be careful not to fall. So I would definitely suggest having blocks under your hands or a chair. All right, enough of that nonsense. So if you want to take another Chaturanga Vinyasa, we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Little sun salutation A, same thing. Inhale, reach your arms up. And forward fold, exhale, Uttanasana. You can step back or you can float back, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And come back to hands and knees for this one. Child's pose. If you want to tuck your toes under, stretch out your toes. Or if you want to flip your toes back, stretch out your shins. All right, and then come up into tabletop pose. I want to work an arm balance here. One leg crane, not very easy. It's actually the least easiest arm balance to do, I think. We're going to use a belt, though. So I'm going to show you first, and then you can decide if this is a good idea. It may not be a good idea at all. So belt to the right hip. And it's too short. So from warrior three, I would say put your hands flat on the blocks on their shortest height. So the blocks are on their lowest height. And then I'm going to start to bend my right knee and take my right knee into my arm and then back. Come a little closer. Knee to arm and then back. So this is phase one. Knee to arm, lifting that right heel and then back. Okay, and then I'm going to come down to the floor. And then I'm going to take my knee to the arm here and lift. And pause there. And then down. Okay? And then again, knee to arm, lift your foot, and then down. That's rough. And that's plenty to do for now. You're welcome to move on. I'm going to come down to the floor here and just kind of stretch out my calf, stretch out my knee, stretch out my hips, left hip. I'm going to actually take the block. I think it's a better idea to have it behind for this at this point. Foot's going to come on those blocks. You could have one block or two. This could be interesting. I've never done this before. I feel like I'm in the circus right now. Foot's on that block. Hands are here. Yeah, it's not so bad. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. Right here. I'm not even going to do anything other than this. This is one arm crane. This is all I want you to do. Sweet. That's it. Down, down. Forget that. That was easy, though. That wasn't too, it wasn't easy. That was good. That's going to teach you the biomechanics of the arm balance and not fall on your face. Okay? So I don't usually wear a mic when I do the practice. For one, it probably sounds like shit because this antenna always rubs my clothes. And I'm doing this. But we're going to do the second side. So I'm going to have those two blocks at the top of my mat. I got to remember what I did on the first side, though. Fuck. Sometimes I forget. Okay. Stepping on the right foot, left hip through. Yeah. Warrior three, yeah. Okay. You remember? You go ahead and do this and don't wait on me because I don't know. All right, right foot's pushing back. And I'm going to take these blocks in a little closer because I think that was too far forward on the first side. If you want the blocks a little higher, you could for this one. I would suggest, though, the lower level because it's not safe. They wobble. And then right here, palms flat. And then bend the knee. Whoop, knee to arm. That foot comes down. And then back up. It's a straight leg. Push into the blocks with your hands, though. So this is roaming up your wrists and your shoulders so that you're not just flying into one leg crane blindly without roaming your wrist up. Knee bends. Boop. Knee to arm. And then back up. You'll feel that in your left thigh, hopefully. It's pretty good. And then one more. Lift that heel. And then the heel goes back down. Okay. Now I'm going to put my right foot on the floor. And then I'm going to take knee to arm. Pull the heel up. Keep pushing back with that right foot. And then foot down. Give it a rest. And then again, shift forward, shoulders over your fingertips, knee on the back of your arm, lift your heel. So you can see my shoulders are way beyond my wrists. And then down. And then one more here. Knee to the back of your arm, shift forward, push back with your right foot. So the right leg is strong, the heel lifts, and down. Okay, so now I'm going to take the two blocks and put them back. My right foot. Hands are on the floor. Good. And there's the arm balance. Take my hands in a little closer. I want my knee up on my arm. Here we go. Look forward. Awesome. That's enough of that. All right. One leg crane. Play with that. So next we're going to do a little lotus and maybe an arm balance from there. So lotus is a challenging posture. We're just going to start Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose. All right, so first come to seated. And cross your shins in front of one in front of the other. If this knee is really high, if it feels like it's up here, you can always support it with a block. You could also start to put this foot on top of your knee and put the block under. Okay. But I want to get this thigh to open more and this heel up into my hip crease. So I'm actually going to straighten out my left leg. So you can stay in this Agni Stambhasan and work on that for now, just getting the hips open. If you feel like you could, move on to this number 4 shape where your ankle is over your thigh or your shin is over your knee, top of your knee, above your knee. And you're going to reach under with your hands and pull your heel up. So the heel just tracks up the line of your thigh. And then the knee stays pointing straight forward. It doesn't go out to the side. You could also put a block here. If you're feeling knee pain here, you can put your hand behind the knee pit. And that'll help push the tibia and the femur away from each other so they don't pinch in the knee. You can forward fold here if it's physically possible for you, depending on what if you've got your hand stuck in your knee, it's kind of hard to forward fold, kind of awkward. All right, and then come up, and then we'll do the second side. So you can switch Agni Stambhasan. So you would have left shin in front of the right shin. Stay there. Or you could put the foot on top. You could block up your left leg, left ankle on top of your right knee, maybe a block there. And you can forward fold or stay upright again. Depends on what's in your way if you can forward fold. And then if you want to stay here for a few moments, do that. Otherwise, you can start to take your right leg out straight, ankle over your thigh, scooping under and pulling your heel up to your hip crease. And then you can block up the left knee if you need, forward fold if you need. Maybe you have like a sweat towel or a blanket or an extra wash rag you can stick behind your knee. That might help. And then forward fold here. One side's going to be easier for you. This is not my simple side. A little bit more complicated. A little bit more stubborn. And then inhale, come up. And then come out of that. So now I'm going to see if I can't work into a full lotus here. One of the arm balances we can play with is Utplutihi, which is a lift. And we did this in one of the classes that I recorded previously on the 8-part series, I believe. I can't remember which one. So anyways, this is going to be easier from lotus. The lift is going to be easier from lotus. But if you can't put your legs in lotus, you're going to keep your ankles crossed and maybe have a couple blocks next to your hips and squeeze your knees into your chest. And then your blocks come in pretty close and you lift your bottom up and your feet can help you on the floor. And then you can hold that for a few moments and come down and just work through this at your own pace. All right. So I'm going to move into half lotus, right heel up into my left hip crease, the right knee points straight forward. This ankle is going to come up under my sit bone. This is half lotus. So I've got my knees both pointing straight forward. Hands come next to your hips. I know your feet sometimes get in the way. And then lift. And this is half lotus. Okay. Same thing. It's just lifting up your bottom. Use the foot on the floor to help. Hold that for a few moments. Lower down and repeat a couple times. I would say do 3 to 5 of these lifts. And only hold it for a few seconds each and then lower down. And then I'm going to actually move into full lotus, and this is the actual posture, Utplutihi with lotus pose. So then I'm going to take my left heel out from under so I can push my knee down to the floor, not with my hands, but with my rotators and my right outer hip muscles pushing down with the abductors. And then pull this heel up into the hip crease. Oh, I got so crooked. And then I'm in full lotus here. You can use the blocks next to your hips. Put your palms on the blocks. Maybe let your fingers curl off here just so that you don't fall over your fingers. because you have no foot to catch you. So maybe have your fingers curl off the edges of the blocks and then lift up. And you don't have to use blocks here if you don't want to. Look out over your nose towards to the floor. Okay. And lower down. Hold that just for a few moments. Maybe you want to try it without the blocks, hands flat on the floor. So if they're out too far, you're not going to be able to lift up. It's going to be really hard. Take them next to the top third of your thigh. And lift. You'd always get in the freaking way. Gotta tuck that foot behind, whatever. Lift your knees up to your chest, towards your shoulders, and chest moves beyond your shoulders. Open your heart. And then lower down. All right, so that's Utplutihi. Fun times. Okay, release your lotus if you can. If you're not stuck there. All right. When you come out of that, hands behind your back, windshield wiper, knees side to side. Feels better. So another option you can take from lotus is that was Utplutihi. There's Urdhva Kukutasana is upward facing, like upward rooster pose. It's not a really easy posture. It's easiest to get into from tripod. And so it's sometimes challenging to get into lotus from tripod. So if you've got someone to help you that won't knock you over and will be very kind to you in the process, they might be able to help tuck your other foot in lotus. You'll see what I mean. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into it today with my ankle. My ankle's still a little bit larger, so after 3-4 months, it's still swollen. So I'll see if I can get into lotus and tripod and try to show you how to do it, and get into Urdhva Kukutasana, the arm balance. So we're all practicing this together. No judgment. Okay, so I'm going to come into tripod pose. Hands on the floor, head out in a triangle shape, isosceles triangle. And I'm going to come forward into elbow bend, like chaturanga. And I'm going to lift my knees and stay in this head dog, tripod dog. And then one knee can come to arm and then other knee to arm. If you want to stay here, you could even work this into crane pose instead of Urdhva Kukutasana. All right. So the other thing that you can play with then is pulling your knees into your chest and lifting from your low belly. Imagine your belly's pushing your thighs up to the ceiling. And then you can press this up into a tripod headstand. So to move into this half lotus, slide your right heel down the front of your left hip crease, since this is the side we've already warmed up. And I have to do this scissoring action to get the foot way up into the hip crease. Another option here is to actually start in half lotus from the floor and pull yourself up into tripod. So you would be here and then coming up. Then push your right knee up to the ceiling. This is already hurting my ankle. And then your right heel. Oh, hey, looky there. That guy scissors in. Shit, y'all got. Fuck, if it's not one thing, it's another, right? Okay, so then you got to scissor that bad boy in there. So then what I do, this isn't really traditional or like Iyengar. No one would really be happy with this in the Iyengar world, but whatever. I use my elbows, take my knees down, and try to shimmy that last little bit up higher. Okay, now I'm here and this really is putting pressure on my ankle, so I'm not going to come up into the arm balance because that actually hurts my ankle really bad. So there you would come up into the arm balance or Urdhva Kukutasana if you're at home practicing it. And if you've done it before, you probably know what I'm talking about. Small victories, right? Celebrate them. If this is still recording, it's a freaking miracle. Piece of crap. All right, so I would say go through and do the other side lotus. You can take the same thing, Utplutihi, start in a seated position, heel up to the hip crease. Your right heel comes up under the left sit bone. Half lotus here, take the lift. You can cross the foot up into the left hip crease, take the lift. My ankle's so not happy with me right now, but we'll see. There it is, and then lift. Okay, so do both sides. Pause the video if you want a few more moments to work on this. Please do pause the video and get equal time in on both sides. And make sure that you're taking, if you did 3 rounds on the first side, do 3 rounds on the second side. Do it about equal within reason, of course. All right, we'll move on to the next pose then when you're ready. So I actually changed my mind. We're going to do Urdhva Kukutasana with a chair. Why not? Because I didn't get to show you the full expression of it, maybe this will help you if you've not done it before. And And I know you can always Google the thing. It's upward rooster pose in English. But it's nice. This is a nice setup using a chair. If you can take full lotus, you can take lotus in the chair, and then you can reach down and grab the chair legs and have a couple blocks maybe handy for balance and for safety. All right, so I'm doing full lotus here. I'm gonna sit back on my chair as far as I can. I'm gonna take my hands down to the blocks. This is Urdhva Kukutasana. Right? Best way to do this, honestly. This is freaking awesome. This is Urdhva Kukutasana. There you go. You don't even have to do the headstand and the dumb things to get into the thing, right? So it's just super simple. But again, you can still feel the biomechanics of it. You can feel the body work and the placement. Like once your body's in it, you're like, okay, now I get what's so hard about this, because this chair is not going to hold me up. I've got to pull up with my core and lean forward into my fingertips. All right, so play with that. All right, now we're really going to move on to the next posture. So I want to work towards upward facing bow pose, and this has been my arch nemesis lately because of my back issue that I'm having. Whatever. So I'm going to play with it from a chair, and I'm going to get have the blocks there, and I'm going to get a strap. So I'm going to take the strap back into a smaller band, a smaller loop. And have it handy. Sit through your chair. Hopefully you've got a chair at home that you can do this with, or some kind of a stability ball will work. That'll be nice. It won't be as easy because it'll be roly-poly, but it'll be easier to get on, I guess. So from here, starting for the bridge shape, or the upward facing bow shape rather, hands on the back of the chair seat, the seat back, and feet out wider. And I'm going to slide my hips through to my upper back, because you want all back bends to come from the upper back, not the low back. And right here is a good way to just enjoy Urdhva Dhanurasana without pissing off your spine, without upsetting your low back. And then the next thing we can do is here, play with the belt coming to your arms, so to the triceps. All right, I'm going to come back, use the chair back, lower down, and then when you feel like you can come down to the floor, hands come up to the floor behind you. And then your hands are on the mat. Walk your hands out a little wider, push into the belt with your hands. Okay, so that's going to help get your arms set up for Urdhva Dhanurasana. This is not easy. This is actually really challenging. All right, I'm going to take that off. And then pull back up. Give your back a moment. I don't like that. So my feet are going to be higher than my hips, hopefully taking some out of the low back. Okay. Another way you can combat that is by lifting your heels off the floor once you get into upward facing bow pose. I'm going to get a little closer to these blocks. And feet are on the blocks right in front of my sit bones, just a few inches away. And then right here, even just starting with bridge pose. Okay, and then you can lower down, and you can start to play with coming up to the top of your head in this positioning, still having your feet on the bricks, on the blocks. Hands are going to come under shoulders, elbows in, which is what that strap was really trying to do. It was just really awkward to get into. That wasn't my favorite moment in wheel. I'm going to push into my feet and come to the top of my head. And then sometimes even here, I just like to reach back and grab my ankles and push my hips up to the ceiling, stretching out the front hip flexors. That is actually the main place where my injury is, because I did something to those guys in a circus performance. And then you press up. Elbows in and back. And then lower down. Head, shoulders, low back, hips. And that wasn't terrible. I'll take it. Rest for just a few moments. Let your back neutralize. All right, and then you come up to seated. Whew. So you can also use the wall for this. I'm just trying to decide if that's really a good idea right now for me. Blah, blah, blah. Might as well. All right, so you can take your mat to the wall. You know when I tell you in class to make good decisions, make wise decisions? This may or may not be a wise decision, I'm just saying. All right, so I'm going to take this mat over to the wall. A couple of different ways you can do this. You can have your knees to the wall and your feet to the wall so that eventually if you wanted to, you could walk your feet up and down overhead in a back walkover. And you can definitely use the blocks under your feet here. This also gives you something for your knees to push into. So once I get up there, my knees are going to push straight into the wall. I'm going to lie down, feet on the blocks. Toes are probably going to be up the wall or to the wall. Arms above head, palms on the floor, and then push up. And then I've got my knees in the wall here, and this is actually not so bad, okay? And then you can push up, and then push your knees back and forward, and back and forward. So if you really wanted to here, you could walk your feet up. Whoop. So since our this thing mat is already to the wall, and we've got a block handy, let's work on a little tripod, going back to that, as not so much as an arm balance entrance, but maybe as a prep for a headstand, because the headstand is such a wonderful way to end your practice. It's such a great grounding pose, and it just gives you that focus and that bringing everything up here, not here, but back here for that contemplative part of your practice. So we just want to go back to that tripod, and you'll want your belt again for your upper arms so that your elbows don't flare out. And this is something that I see very commonly in a tripod practice, that the elbows move out. So again, you want your elbows to be right in with your waist, the narrow part of your waist. The block that we're going to use at the wall is going to go between your back and the wall like this, okay? All right, so I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hold the block up here. Okay, I'm just going to find the sweet spot. And your head comes down to the floor. Hands on the floor. Ooh, I think that's a little too close. I'm going to move my head back more. There we go. That's much better. Hopefully you've got someone at home to help you with this. This is like a one-man band right here. Okay. And then I'm pushing in and pushing my hands down. So here I don't even have much weight in my hands. I really don't have much weight in my head. You can see. This is a good view. This is a good angle, right? So if you can see, I've got my back pushing into the block, okay? And then my hands are going to come down and then here, and then you can play with maybe pushing up and then breaking that strap apart with your hands. A lot of upper body work here. Keep your feet on the wall, or you can take your feet off the wall if you feel balanced. But when you're ready, 1 foot at a time down to the floor, knees to the floor, and then just rest. Take that belt off, child's pose. Maybe you can just kind of let your forehead rest on the block. Just turning around so you can see. Okay, so we're going to take this into relaxation. You can come onto your back. You can take your legs up the wall if you'd like, since you're already there. You can put the block, take it with you. So when you slide up the wall, you can lift your hips and slide that block under your hips, and then take your feet straight up the wall. Open your arms up out to the side. And just relax here for a few moments. You're welcome to also find a corpse pose, Shavasana shape, or any prop supported restorative postures, and then just take a few minutes here to let your body rest. All right, thanks for practicing with me, yogis. See you next time.